Welcome to Channel 17, the Town of Colonie Government Channel.
Welcome to Parenting in the 21st Century. I'm Zina Shevchik. Today we have with us Sandy Morley, who's the director of the Freihofer's Kids Run and also the principal of Bethlehem Middle School and a former phys ed teacher, and Dr. Lorraine Lemons, a pediatrician from Capital Care. Today we're going to talk about the Freihofer's Kids Run as well as the broader topic of children and exercise. Thank you very much for being with us, Dr. Lemons and Sandy. First, tell us about the Freihofer's Kids Runs. I know it's relatively new.
Well, actually, it's not really new.
Ooh.
It's been around a long time. We're actually in about our 25th year. We're not that far behind the Freihofer's Women's Run.
I didn't know that.
So we've been running for quite a while, and it developed really because we have so many women down at the run, and we know that being active for kids is great, and we wanted children involved and to get the same enjoyment out of running that their mothers did. So it began kind of small, and it's grown into really quite an event.
Well, that's great that we have it then, because I'm an avid newspaper reader and news viewer, and I was not aware that it had been around that long. So tell us about how it differs from the adult run.
Well, we're not really concerned with times. This is about kids being active and having fun. So we've tried to kind of prorate the distances and the times for kids so that they have an experience similar to their parents, mom and dads, very often to go out running together, and we want their kids to enjoy that as well. So we created smaller races for kids, and we do call them races, but fun events where they can walk and run to the best of their ability. For youngest kids, they're running as short as 50 meters, but they have a start line, they have a ready, set, go, they have a finish line, and there's a lot of celebration just about completion of a run. And then we progress up to distances of up to a mile for 12 and 13-year-olds, and that's the cap age for the kids to run in the kids run. Older children, older girls can run in the women's run, and there are other events for boys, but not at the Freihofer's at this time.
So what's the date of it's the same day as the Freihofer's Run for Women?
Same day, May 31st this year, Saturday, May 31st. May 30th, I apologize, May 30th. Changes a bit every year. It shifts with the weeks. And this year we follow the women's run. So the kids' runs will begin at about 11:20, and we section them off. So there's a schedule for age groups. Based on their age, they'll run at certain times, and we have a gap of window. So we don't run all 4-year-olds at the same time. We run them in small groups of 10 or 12. And the younger kids, we encourage their parents to run or walk with them so that they're safe and they're not alone and they're having a good time.
What was the youngest?
4 and under.
4 and under.
No strollers, but 4 and under. So if they're walking, we'd invite them to come and participate. And some of them are toddling, but they're walking, and it's fun.
And the oldest was 14?
The oldest 13.
13.
13 and under can participate in the kids' runs.
Okay, and is it same-day registration? Is it?
We have pre-registration, so we do have pre-registration forms that are available at, I believe, at Price Choppers as well as through the Freihofer's Run office. They're often distributed at some of the schools because we also do a school athlete visitation program, and we make those applications available to kids throughout the Capital District in schools as well. But you can sign up the same day. So down at the Expo, Friday night before the race and race day, you can still sign up and participate in the kids' races.
Okay, and as this program is airing, we'll have phone numbers and websites on as well, so people, if they haven't gotten all the information we're disseminating here, they have something else to rely on.
Yeah.
I was intrigued by looking at the website that they for the Freihofer's, run that they actually had training recommendations for the children, and I thought maybe you could talk, Dr. Lemons, a little bit about the difference in training between adults or between different age children and what is recommended.
Sure. First, I mean, running is a great exercise for children and adolescents, as long as it's done in moderation, the same as any other physical activity would be done. With any physical activity that children are doing, it should be modified to their developmental level. So that's why it's important, as Sandy mentioned, that in the Freihofers run, the smaller kids run shorter distances. They can walk if they need to. Their parents are encouraged to go with them. And then the older kids can do the longer distances. So there are no exact guidelines about what distance for what age, but it's a great exercise, and you really just have to use your child as a guide as to what their endurance and what their stamina is and how far they can go.
I also noticed on the website that they recommended a 6-week training program. Is that something that you strongly recommend, or it's just a guideline for different age groups, or?
I think it's a guideline for different age groups, and when you're taking up a new activity, so particularly for kids or adults who have not been engaging in regular running as an exercise, you need to build up to the longer distances. And so that would be a typical 6 to 8 weeks would be typical for folks who are getting into it for the first time and wanting to build up the endurance for the event. And so that's true for children as well. They should never, just go out and run a mile if that's not what they've been doing at that point yet. So the training schedule helps them, gradually each week get to that point, as well as getting their parents involved in the event as well, so that their parents can also build up their endurance and stamina for the event, which is crucial.
So make it a family event,
right.
The training, the 6 weeks beforehand. Of course, we're not 6 weeks away as we tape. We're a few weeks away, not 6 weeks. So hopefully people will have started to be outside because we have had some nice weather in the last couple of weeks. So that's great. I was going to ask about how kids are trained differently in school, like for athletic sports in school versus this kind of running that the kids are doing. Mm-hmm. Is there a difference in the recommendations?
Well, this program, the training program, was created for schools. It was created specifically for physical education teachers to use in their classes so that it didn't become a unit in itself, but it became a part of what they do. And it included things like how to stretch, when to stretch, what to wear, pacing, goal setting. So it's a bigger picture than just the training, and it was designed to happen as pieces of the days that students are in physical education classes. It doesn't differ than training from athletics, but it's spread more out. It's more relaxed, and it encompasses all the same characteristics and pieces, but maybe on smaller scales. So it's pretty consistent.
I did notice that something's different than when I was in school and my kids were training, is that they recommend a warm-up and then the stretch. Mm-hmm. And that's quite different from what we used to do. And even my husband is not in with the program, as so to speak, with his running yet. He's stretching before he runs, and that's really not what's recommended. Am I correct?
That's correct. It's better to warm up the muscles and the ligaments before you stretch.
And what would that warm up involve?
It could involve jogging in place for a few minutes. I mean, anything that gets your heart rate up and gets your body moving and warm.
One of the things that we tell kids to explain that, it's like taking a rubber band and throwing it in a freezer. If you take a rubber band that's been in a freezer and you pull it quickly, it's going to break. So muscles act very much like that, and as Doctor said, we can warm them up by doing a lot of things, playing a game of tag, doing light jogging either in place or a shorter run, and then stretch warm-up muscles. And then they're ready to work, so they're not surprised by any sudden movement, and that's where you result in a muscle tear or a pull.
And this is really crucial for children and adolescents. They're much more likely to injure their tendons and have overuse injuries and stress injuries. So more, even more crucial than for adults that they warm up and they stretch and before they do any activity.
Is there any difference in the cool down procedures or what they recommend for cooling down as they used to, the change in the warm up? Is there any difference in the cool down with running as a sport or jogging as a sport?
Well, we don't see too much difference, although what kids don't understand is that even in warm weather, they need to take care of their body. And very often, they'll finish an activity and just leave with putting nothing else on. And the body cools down, the muscles cool up again, and they could increase cramping or muscle soreness. So we encourage kids at all levels, especially as they get to more team level activities, that once they're finished activities, if they're sweaty, to change clothes and put on dry clothes, and then also put on a layer over top and bottom to keep those muscles warm.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the other thing, children and adolescents are more likely to get dehydrated than adults are with activity. So it's important that they're continuing to drink their fluids, so especially after they've finished an activity, not to just, run home and do homework, but to make sure that they're staying hydrated, that they're eating, appropriate foods at that time, and not just ignoring that fact, and that's even more important in kids.
And my daughter used to run track, and we were always looking for information on what she should eat before, and what she should not eat, and when she should drink, and what she should drink. I know that Gatorade has lost some of its luster these days. Am I right that there's a difference? I don't know who wants to address this.
Well, I can start, and then we can go to Sandy. But with obesity becoming a larger problem in this country, particularly in kids, we've found that a lot of the sports drinks, Gatorade, any of the sports drinks that are out there, really add in a lot of calories, and kids are doing just very mild exercise and think that they need a sports drink and getting the calories from it and really not burning off, and really not what they need at that point. They just need water and they need to be doing activity. That's a little bit different than for very competitive adolescents who are athletes. They need to be, making sure that they're drinking plenty of water, replenishing their electrolytes, whether that be with an electrolyte drink or with some sort of power bar or that sort of thing as they're doing activities. But that's really reserved for very competitive athletes who are engaged in long-term activities, not for kids who are necessarily involved in intramurals or more recreational activities where they just need to be making sure that they're drinking their water and taking care of themselves in that way. They don't need the extra calories from the electrolyte drinks.
Absolutely right. I think we can gear kids towards water, and water is absorbed a little bit better if it's room temperature as opposed to really cold. It'll be absorbed a little bit faster, and that's a very solid thing for kids to know, that they don't have to have these fancy bottles.
Right.
Sometimes there's a lot of extra sugar in some of those, some of the drinks that you want to watch for, and it's really just not necessary, as Dr. Lemon said, until they become much more competitive. In terms of eating, when you eat, what you eat, fried foods definitely are not going to sit well. You don't want to eat within probably an hour of when you're really doing some intense exercise. Lighter foods, and just in terms of timing.
And I recommend, again, kids should be having a varied diet. Kids, even teenagers who are very competitive athletes, should still be having a well-rounded diet. They should be eating from all of the food groups. And then for kids who are involved in intramurals or activities after school, I often recommend that they have a healthy snack before practice, whether that be something that has a little bit of carbohydrate in it and a little bit of protein to get them through the hours until they're going to be having dinner. And so it's important that they do that. I mean, I have a lot of particularly teenage adolescents who, think they have lunch and then they go to track practice for 2 hours, or they go to ski practice for 2 hours, and they don't need to eat or drink anything. And then, they start to feel dizzy, they start to feel lightheaded, they don't have the endurance. So it is important to remember to try and grab something as everyone's running from activity to activity. But they should just be healthy snacks, an apple and some peanut butter, or a cheese stick and a cereal bar, something that has a little bit of protein, a little bit of carbohydrate, still not a lot of fat, nothing fried, not junk food, not a bag of potato chips, none of that stuff that's in the vending machines. It should be still something healthy to keep them going.
Yes, and hopefully the schools will be having healthy snacks in their vending machines exclusively soon, if that hasn't already happened. I know that in some of the schools, they kind of, you can't use some of the vending machines until after lunch period or something like that, so that's a move in the right direction. I know you're very interested in childhood obesity, and to me, running, jogging is such, in this economic times, it's such a low-cost exercise for both children and adults. And what do you recommend when you talk to kids who are having some difficulty with their weight in terms of exercise?
In terms of exercise, I think that they have to find an activity that they enjoy. So whether that be running, whether that be turning the music on and dancing around their bedroom, anything that's getting their heart rate up for a sustained period of time. So I spend a lot of time talking with them about what might interest them, what they would feel comfortable doing based on their body type, whether they want to be doing it with other kids or they want to be doing it on their own. And so it's really important in order to sustain their interest in activity, because we really want to encourage kids to be active every single day, turn off the TV, turn off video games, turn off the computer, and do something active. So depending on where they live, what resources they have, finding something that interests them that they can do on a regular basis. Here in the Capital District, it's hard in the middle of the winter for kids to get outside and run, or to get outside and play basketball or do their activities. So sometimes it'll be something like, going up and down the stairs 20 times with the radio on, or like I said, dancing around their room with music on, putting a tape in the VCR, whatever it is that interests them. So really you have to find, for kids who are becoming overweight and are very sedentary, it's really what motivates them. So you have to find something that they're very interested in.
And again, for the parents, it's the parents have to role model this,
right.
And that's more important. And it's tough because a lot of parents they don't have the economic resources, or they're working two jobs, and I know it's
right.
hard. So running and jogging is something
right.
that you can fit in, you can do for a short
right.
period of time.
And even for folks who haven't been engaged in activity and exercise, this time of year, we've got nice weather coming, get out and just start walking, and then each day try and walk a little bit quicker, do the same route, and instead of doing it in 10 minutes, try and do it in 9 minutes. And so walking more quickly, which may then increase your interest in jogging or running as the weather gets nicer. But for folks who haven't been doing anything, they really need to build up to that. And so knowing that going out, walking together as a family after dinner, that's a great way to just get started someplace.
So this Freihofer's Run can motivate everybody to start a new exercise program, particularly in our lovely springtime here. Would you talk a little bit about more about the community walk that I believe is part of the day, May 30th,
Sure.
And also the Run for Women?
Well, the community walk was put together so that people who were non-runners could be involved, number one, and at the same time, we could help raise some funds for charities in the area. So it's really a fundraiser, and as a walker, you would raise funds and elicit donations towards the charity that you're walking for. There's no time limit on it. It's a shortened route, and men and women and dogs and strollers can participate, and they go a modified route of the same route that the women run. And the timing is a little bit different.
Which is up a hill.
It starts up a hill, but it finishes down a hill, which is really nice.
It's on Madison. Is it
It starts and finishes on Madison, and that's nice that all three events for the past couple of years have started and finished at the same common start and finish area. And for the kids especially, that's exciting that they can come through the finish line the same place that an Olympic athlete has just run, and that's kind of nice too. And for women as well. The women's race, I think part of the draw to that is that there's a great camaraderie, that you are on the same route and the same street as elite athletes who are coming from all over the world, and you're doing it at the best of your ability, and it's just great to be there, and you get a great sense as a runner being out with women all doing their best, whatever that best is. So it's a very exciting event, regardless of the time that's on the clock when you come through the finish line.
And so there's registration can occur on the same day, and what does it cost for the kids run? Or
Kids run is free.
The kids run is free.
And all
Great.
registrations still can occur online.
Okay.
Women's and the kids run is online as well, which makes it very, very easy. But the kids doesn't cost anything,
That's great.
And they all get T-shirts and an opportunity for, usually there's some cookies available for them, which is always a nice draw. Yeah,
Freihofer's.
Freihofer's cookies, and those are always a great thing. And maybe they're not the healthiest snack, but they're kind of fun for a one-day break.
Carbohydrates,
Yeah.
right?
Have water and apples available.
There's a lot. They do great.
Yeah.
At the end of the races, there are great refreshments, healthy snacks available for all runners, including the kids and the walkers, to help replenish some of the energy they've expended, and to make sure that they're doing healthy things for their body as well.
And there's maps, I think, online as well. And
There's so much information on the website right now. It can answer a lot of questions, but the website also will lead you if you really need to talk to a person and have some other questions. It gives you a phone number there where you can call Freihofer's office in charge of the race, and they can give you more information.
Do you happen to know, is there free parking underneath the, in the Empire State Plaza?
There's parking in the Empire State Plaza, and they also usually have parking a little bit further down at the garage on Madison Avenue. And there, again, on the website, will give you the best places to go to park your car. There's some on-street parking, but the garages are so easy, make it so easy for people to come and leave their cars, and they don't have to worry about that. That I would say take advantage of those places.
Okay. Is there anything that you would like to say about children and exercise, childhood obesity before we wrap up here? Is there?
Children and exercise is extremely important, so everyone should, get out and figure out what they can do as a family to keep everyone moving.
And I also think that it's important for academics as well. I mean, that's why physical education in the schools is good, and after-school activities, because it really does give, as a parent, I know, it really gives the kids endurance in other ways as well, and it really helps them able to focus, and they sleep better. I mean, all this, as a parent, I know, so there's incredible benefit to exercise.
There is also, there's a lot of research that supports that. Kids who are involved in whether it be organized sports or intramurals, but kids who are involved in activities after school do better academically, do better health-wise, and there's a lot of research that supports that.
Right. Would you just repeat the facts about when the Freihofer's run for kids is and women and
Sure. Saturday, May 30th. And not only for people who are participating, for the women's run, for the community health walk, for the kids run, but for spectators. If you want to come see an international event, you can't help but get drawn into it. And we start first thing in the morning and run through the middle of the day to get the other events in. And it's a day-long expo down in the plaza. There's a lot going on for kids and for families, so you can be a part of it regardless of what your background in or your interest is. So we'd love to see you there.
Great. Thank you, Sandy Morley from Freihofer's Kids Run and Dr. Lorraine Lemons from Capital Care. Thank you for being with us today. And don't forget about the free Capital Care Health and Fitness Expo held at the Empire State Plaza on May 29th from 12 to 8, that's a Friday, and May 30th, the same day as the Freihofer's run, from 8 to 3. And this Expo is free, held at the Empire State Plaza in conjunction with Freihofer's run. This has been Parenting in the 21st Century.